This week on the Honor Roll podcast, we'll be talking to the honor students who won the 2023 Grand Challenge, all about their project, helping to bridge barriers to employment for people in the arthritis community. All that and more coming up next. Hey Honors Bulls! Welcome to the Honor Roll podcast, the flagship podcast of the Judy Genshaft Honors College Podcast Network. I'm Caroline Merriman, a third-year student studying English and biology at the University of South Florida and a member of the Honors College. Today, my fabulous co-host is Fabiana Requena. She is a second-year student studying marketing and business analytics. Fabiana, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, it's really nice to be back on the podcast.
And of course, we are so glad to have you back today. And as always, we like to start off this segment with one big question. So my question this week is, what is something that has inspired you to make a positive change in your community?
Yeah, so I think I would take this back to the beginning of high school. I used to volunteer with my friend at the Dunedin Fine Arts Center. There was a program called Just Imagine, and we did arts and crafts projects with adults with disabilities, whether that was mental or physical. And it was just a really fun time. We just got to work with them and help them paint. There were new themes every week, and I just have really good memories from them. What about you?
Yeah, I think volunteering has always been a really big part of my life because I just like that it makes you feel connected to your community and to meeting people like you would never have met before.
Exactly.
Getting skills and doing random projects you never would have done. So all throughout high school and still today, I volunteer with an organization called Night to Shine, and they put on proms all around the world, and therefore people with disabilities who never had the chance to attend a prom before.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And it's super cool, and the whole night is planned out for them. Everything's taken care for them, from hair to limousine to dresses, and their caregivers get to take the whole night off and go get a massage and have a nice meal. And so it's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah, that sounds like a really beautiful experience.
Yeah, it really was. Well, on today's podcast, we're going to be actually joined by two members of the team that won the 2023 Grand Challenge at the Honors College. And we're just going to talk about how they were inspired to create a project to help people suffering from arthritis, not only to ease the effects of their disability on their lives, but also to help find a way for them to easier get employment. And all that is going to be coming up next.
Explore the world of research with the University of South Florida Undergraduate Research Portal. This centralized online portal paves the way to exciting research opportunities filled with discovery and personal growth. It will connect you with the right research lab, professors, and mentor relationships at USF. The perfect research opportunity is just one click away. Search USF Research Portal or visit the Judy Genshaft Honors College website to learn more.
All right, hey everyone! I'm so excited. Today we are joined by two students, Maria Lares and Reaghan Ard, who recently competed in the Grand Challenge competition here at the Honors College. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hi, I am Maria Lares. I am a biology major here at USF, and a little fun fact about me is I love cats and I have 5 cats at home.
Wait, can you tell us their names?
So I brought one of them to college with me. So that one is Calvin, and he lives with me in my apartment. And then at home, I have Elmo, Zachy, Toby, and Lulu.
Oh my God, I have a cat named Lulu.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
That's so cool.
She's like a point Siamese cat.
Oh, that's adorable.
She's super tiny.
Oh, mine is like a tabby, and she's really big. So,
a little opposite.
Hi, I'm Reaghan Ard. I'm studying environmental science and policy and a double major with biology. And a little fun fact about me is I used to work at an alligator sanctuary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that like?
It was so fun. Oh my gosh, the most fun time ever. It was really cool working hands-on with them.
I feel like I would be really scared. Did you get to hold them?
Yeah, I would get in the swamp, especially my last summer there, handling eggs and counting them and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So for those who aren't familiar with the Grand Challenge, could you just elaborate on like what the competition is and what it's all about?
So the Grand Challenge is a competition that allows students in the Honors College the opportunity to research and find possible solutions for some barriers that people with disabilities face.
Yeah, so this year's theme was all about social entrepreneurship and decreasing the barriers it takes for the physical disability community to find employment.
So for those who don't know, your team won the 2023 Grand Challenge competition. Can you tell us a little bit about your project, where your idea came from, and how it grew?
So initially, it began with one of our team members, Adreja, who is not here. She basically came up with the idea, or kind of our target population. She was inspired by her aunt who suffers from arthritis, and she's from India, and there's obviously a lot of barriers over there compared to here in the US. So our idea kind of stemmed from her experience with her aunt, and yeah.
Yeah, and then from there, it kind of just grew into us brainstorming more about how we can kind of decrease those barriers and what the issue looks like here in America. And from there, we found there's just not a lot after the point that your arthritis gets severe. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, you can't do anything with your hands anymore, so people don't see a use for that. So we kind of turned that into something more in like entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurial, is that the right word? Anyway.
So yeah, before we go any further, could you just tell us a little bit about your pitch in particular and how you kind of took your inspiration and as a team grew that into an actual project that you were going to implement in the community?
Yeah, so like Maria was saying, it stemmed from arthritis, and Adreja's aunt was kind of our inspiration. And then our professor, Mrs. Tina Parachi, she's an incredible artist. And so we kind of meshed the ideas that she had shown us in class with the inspiration of arthritis as an issue and looked more into how those two kind of things correlate and how art can be a solution for people with arthritis. And then taking that social entrepreneurship kind of aspect of the Grand Challenge, we decided to kind of create a project that would help people with physical disabilities create art and then sell that as an entrepreneur. And it also kind of serves as a therapy for them physically, but also mentally.
So it is called Arthritis, and basically it is about helping people with arthritis find a form of employment through art. So we're providing different forms of art, and we're partnering with some clubs here at USF for things such as painting, pottery making, things like that that involve your hands. And that kind of gives them the entrepreneurial aspect where they can sell their work once they've become comfortable enough, as well as it's a form of physical and mental therapy, like Reaghan said, because there's a lot of benefits from using your hands and, you know, practicing mobility and dexterity that has benefits for those who suffer from arthritis.
I really like that.
So what was it like to come together as a team, you know, all of you having kind of different majors, different backgrounds, different reasons for being involved in the project? What was it like to kind of come together and work together to kind of, you know, bring all your strengths to the table to create this huge project?
Yeah, so we already were familiar with each other because we had been sitting together for about half the semester in our Honors Acquisition of Knowledge class. And then when Professor Parachi mentioned to our class, oh, here's the Grand Challenge, and she kind of had us all brainstorm different ideas, that's kind of how it started. And from there, it picked up, and we've gotten really close through the project. And there's never been any issues. It's just like we're all friends, and we're doing something we're passionate about now, and it's been a really cool experience.
I would say probably just like the biggest challenge that we face is just we're all on very different time schedules. So it's been kind of difficult finding times for us to all get together, like with all of our different schedules and extracurriculars and everything.
And Maria, you mentioned challenges. So could you tell me a little bit more about the challenges that you faced doing the project itself, other than the time constraints and just trying to meet up all on time?
I would say another big challenge is also kind of the timeline, just the fact that we only have a couple of months to work on this project. So that was kind of something that we didn't really know at first. And going into the competition, we weren't really sure of exactly how everything would work. So finding out that we only had like about 2 to 3 months to really work on everything kind of scared us all. And I feel like that kind of backtracked us a little bit and kind of got us a little bit frantic with the process. So I feel like that's probably the biggest challenge that we face. It's mostly all dealing with like the timeline and time restraints.
How did you kind of cope with those things? What did you implement to help alleviate those issues?
So we've been really focusing on mentorship and receiving help from our mentors who are part of the competition, which is something that we were kind of struggling with at first. So now we have a lot better contact and we're reaching out to them a lot more, and they're kind of mentoring us and really helping us figure out exactly where we should be in this process, given the time restraints and given all of the challenges that we have faced.
Mm-hmm. And then could I ask a little bit about the research part of it? Like, obviously, you have to do a little bit of research into arthritis and people that live with this disability. So could you tell me a little bit more about that?
So it definitely took a lot of research, especially because our first initial proposal, the feedback that we got back was, is this art and working with hands truly going to benefit people who have arthritis, or is it going to make their arthritis worse? So that was kind of the focus of our research, is just finding out exactly what types of art forms are going to be helpful to these people rather than harming them. So we found that things such as painting or like knitting, like very soft forms of art, are actually improving to their health and helping with, like I mentioned before, mobility, dexterity, flexibility, and just there's a lot of benefits for like joint health and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys had a few months essentially to do your research, plan out your project, find your mentorship, and reach out to kind of like community organizations or USF organizations. So what was it like going through that, moving it from like the idea stage to kind of like the implementation and the pitch stage? So could you just let us, kind of see that timeline a little bit more and how you guys were able to move the project along from just being kind of an idea that you guys shared?
Yeah, so we got back from winter break and it was like all hands on deck. It was just like, whoa, this is actually happening and we're starting this now. But like Maria said, once we had that realization of, wow, this is time constrained, it kind of did shake us up a little bit, delaying our process some. But now, again, like she said, we've been working with those mentors, and so transitioning into more of like delegated task, or I'm going to do this, Maria will do this, and Kylie and Adrija will do another task, and having more organization to it. And everyone's kind of playing a role rather than it's just like, oh, we need to do this and we're going to do it eventually sort of thing. So it's been a lot of just managing time, managing roles, and actually taking like small steps and visualizing what this will be rather than just saying it'll be something.
We also had very big aspirations at the beginning of this. Like, we were all like having such big ideas and like really big goals, and our mentors kind of told us that we need to take a little bit of a step back and like kind of focus on like what Reaghan said, like what we can do right now, like what role each of us can take and what little tiny steps we can take, rather than we just wanted to like jump right into our first workshop and like just get this started. But we have to like kind of slow down a little bit, take things by baby steps, and really make sure we have everything organized and managed correctly.
My name is Lindy Davidson. I am the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs in the Judy Genshaft Honors College on the Tampa campus. It's impossible for me to pick one honors experience that's my favorite, but I will say one of my very favorite things is taking students on study abroad. When we step off the airplane in the Dominican Republic and hear the merengue music as we're going down the escalator, I can see students realize that they are in another culture, another place, and that they're going to have all these new experiences. And every time I've ever taken students to another country, the opportunity is just palpable. I love being there alongside students as they make those discoveries. It's one of my very favorite parts of my job.
So could you elaborate a little bit more on the competition itself? And, they declare like the theme or whatever, and then you have to go in and come up with your solution. Can you tell us a little bit more about the competition itself? Because I'm sure there's multiple parts to it and rounds, right?
So it began initially with our first proposal, which got approved, and we received feedback on that. And then we moved to our actual presentation and to the pitch, which was definitely very nerve-wracking. And like I had previously said, we hadn't gotten the opportunity to really meet a lot. So we actually only got to practice like a couple times, like 2 hours right before the competition. So we were all definitely very nervous. We had no idea what we were going up against or the ideas of the other teams or anything of that sort. So when it came to the actual pitch, we were all like sweating, super nervous. We had only gotten to practice like 3 times. So I feel like we were all kind of doubting ourselves, and we were the second team to go. So after the first team, we saw their presentation. We were like, okay, they're good. They have a good idea. And then we kind of like reflected a little bit on our presentation, like what we could change. And like we decided to be like, put a little more emphasis on things. And like the first team was very like passionate about what they were speaking. So we made sure like we have to be like super passionate and just like check all the boxes. So going into the proposal, we were definitely very scared, but it was successful. Obviously, I mean, we did win. So it was really nervous, but we were all passionate about it, and it paid off in the end.
Right. So that's the most exciting part. You guys won. What was that like?
It felt super good, honestly. The teams we were up against had awesome ideas, so we weren't really sure what it would come down to in the end, but it was such a good feeling. Like I said, this is something that we were all very passionate about, so to see like an idea that we had just like thought of in class, to see that idea actually bloom into something, and to see that people see where we're coming from and understand the project that we want to create and like see our inspiration, it felt really good.
Yeah, and building off of that, like I mentioned earlier, like we are all friends. So on top of winning, like winning is always great, but when you've put in the work with your friends for a month or so, like, and just seeing the outcome, it was so much fun. We were all just celebrating together and just so happy. And it was a really good evening and definitely a happy day to reflect on.
I'm glad. And what about now, as for the project? Can you give us an update?
So like I said before, we had already started like planning our first workshop and like trying to really get this started. But after speaking with our mentors, they kind of told us to take a little bit of a step back, and they really told us to focus on growing our partnerships, which is something that we had been doing even before we had our pitch, even before the proposal. We started reaching out to clubs and finding these connections. So now what we're really working on is strengthening these connections, because a lot of clubs have backed out. So we're just trying to find like the right ones that are like really as passionate about this project as we are, and just building a strong connection with them and like getting all of the help and all the volunteers that we can find.
Right. So what would like a workshop look like for you guys?
So essentially what we're looking at for our first workshop is meditative art. So it's where people who do struggle with physical disabilities, because we've kind of expanded beyond arthritis, at least in the beginning right now, so we can grow our community and meet more people. But yeah, so it'll be meditative art, and people suffering with physical disabilities will come in and we'll have various different art projects. So one could be painting, bracelet making, sketching, sort of just like a variety, and people can come in and for free have this form of art therapy and just kind of connect with other people, do art, learn about the organization. That's like a big part, is just getting our name out there for this first workshop, and then from there growing.
And how do you guys hope that students who are involved in your organization, how do you hope they would benefit from being involved with you guys or attending one of your events maybe?
Well, a big thing to us is also spreading awareness on the issue of arthritis and just all disabilities. So to just have students come in and just, even if they're not necessarily participating, just to kind of learn a little bit more about what we want to do, learn a little bit more about disabilities and some of the barriers that these people face just on their daily basis or regarding employment. We just want to spread awareness and show people that it doesn't take a lot to help others and to help others overcome some barriers that they are facing.
And branching off a bit, so as the winners of the pitch competition, you guys got a paid internship opportunity with the Well, correct?
Yes.
And so I just wanted to check in with you guys. How has that been going for you? What have you been able to accomplish through that internship, or kind of what point are you at in that?
Yeah, so the internship itself is essentially just the implementation and creation of the project. So everything that we've been talking about, talking with our mentors, connecting with different organizations, brainstorming the workshop, etc., that is all included in the internship. So basically anything that we're talking about related to the arthritis organization is the internship, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a big part of it is working with our mentors. They are like the base of our internship. So really just working with them because they're two individuals who are very like well known in this area and they have done a lot of work to help people with disabilities. So a big part of the internship is working with them, learning from them, just being mentored by them and guided by them.
Has it like changed your project in any way, like in what directions you guys are going in?
Absolutely. Like we met with them. It was the day before spring break, and that was a huge help. It was Adrija and I, and we sat down for about 30, 45 minutes. And they really just guided us a lot. Like, we had our idea for our workshop and stuff, and then they were like, have you thought about this? Have you reached out to these people? Maybe expand to a different location to make it more accessible to different people, stuff like that. And it's just, they have so much more knowledge than any of us, especially since none of us are from Tampa. And that guidance has just been so fundamental to now kind of the new process we're going on with building our connections prior to making the workshop. So I don't think we could be doing it without them.
Absolutely, I agree.
I think this sounds like a really good learning experience for you guys, really, and just being able to help out the community at the same time. Ultimately, what do you guys hope to accomplish with this project? What is like your end goal?
I would say our end goal, well, truly, I will be satisfied just knowing that I helped at least one individual. But mainly our end goal is just to have different workshops and have these people be able to sell their work and provide them a form of income, a form of employment, and just therapy, like we said, physically and mentally. We just really want to help better these people's lives in any way that we can. And of course, our biggest end goal is to have them be able to sell their work. So we haven't reached there yet, but that is our main goal.
Yeah, I second everything Maria said, especially with just helping one person individually would make it all worth it. But yeah, after we kind of kickstart our first workshop and people develop a trust with the organization, then we'll have the ability, hopefully, to sell their products and give that money in payment to them.
So where are you finding the candidates for the program?
So Kylie is not here today, but she is the one who is mainly focusing on finding the candidates. I know she is working closely with the Mersani College of Medicine Disability Coalition, who, they provide help for the people who are disabled, chronically ill, deaf, neurodivergent, all sorts of disabilities. So she has a good connection with them, and we're hoping to find people through them. I have also been reaching out to nursing homes and just trying to find as many people as we can. We also wanted to maybe reach out to people here at USF who might be struggling with disabilities. So we're really open to all candidates, especially for our first workshop. We're not necessarily focusing on arthritis. We're being a little bit more broad and just kind of trying to find anyone that we can help with a disability.
Yeah, and how has the feedback been with that? Are they excited? Are the potential candidates excited to attend a workshop like that?
I think so. Since we haven't necessarily set our first day or our first workshop, everything right now is kind of a little bit undecided. So we know that we have these strong connections and we know that we will be able to find candidates, but we just haven't been able to give them a set day or a set workshop or a set time and place.
So how has the experience in the competition overall, how has it changed how you think about all your other courses or your future career goals?
So I would say it's definitely, I've never worked on an organization like this before or really started anything up. So it's definitely taken out a little bit of my entrepreneurship side and starting an organization in a little bit of a leader role. So I think that's kind of helped change my perspective on a lot of things outside of the project, just, being a leader and being very organized and learning how to manage time. And it's also it's something I'm very passionate about. So it's also just made me realize the importance of helping other people and of being welcoming to everyone and having open arms for all sorts of individuals.
Yeah, so in terms of how it's kind of affected my perspective on classes and such, it's really just researching arthritis and physical disabilities in general has really made me appreciate what I've been given and just the ability to write and type is something that we take for granted so often. And so researching the different physical disabilities and meeting with people who suffer with them has just been very eye-opening and made me appreciate some of the smaller things a lot more and how easily it is to do school compared to other people.
Yeah, and it also puts us in kind of the position to, like she said, be super grateful about what we are able to do and how we can apply that to helping others.
Right. And it's really great to hear all of that. And I'm really excited to see where this project will go and how it will continue. To wrap things up, what advice would you give to students listening who want to participate in the Grand Challenge competition and even in helping your project?
I would say definitely find something that you are super passionate about and find a good group of hardworking people who you know are going to be just as passionate about it as you are, and really just give it your all. Like I said before, we were all super nervous and we were all doubting ourselves, but don't go into the competition doubting yourself. Just be passionate about it, know what you're doing, and just be excited to help others.
Yeah, and building off that, be passionate about it and have great ideas, but remember, like, you're starting this from scratch, so it's okay to have ideas that are a little bit more concise and start small and then recognize the vision. I think that's something that if someone had told us at the beginning would have made the process a lot easier.
And I'm sure after hearing about your guys' amazing experience in this project and how powerful your advocacy for the arthritis community has been, I'm sure they're going to want to get involved. So can you just give our listeners some contact information or where they can kind of stay updated on any event info for you guys?
Yeah. You guys can reach us directly at our email, arthritis.usf@gmail.com. That's managed by all four of us girls, so we check that regularly. And yeah, if you have any questions or want to collaborate at all, feel free to reach out to that email.
Yeah, or if you see us on campus or we have a class together, just feel free to reach out to any of us. We'd love to talk to you about it.
100%.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to get to talk to you guys and to hear about your experience. For anyone who's listening, if you are interested in participating in the Grand Challenge, just head on over to the Honors College website, and there is a webpage all about the Grand Challenge for 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we are back in the studio. It was really inspiring to hear that story, and I'm really excited to see how their project continues to grow.
Yeah, I think it's great that students in our community are taking the initiative to address things that they're not only seeing in their families' lives, but in complete strangers' lives, and that they're having the passion to share that with other students and to build these organizations from scratch.
Yeah, I would actually really like to attend the workshop and see how that goes.
Yeah, and we'll be looking forward to all of their future events. And with that said, don't forget to check the Honor Roll newsletter and our website, usf.edu/honors, for upcoming events, updates, and news. That will do it for this week's episode. The Honor Roll podcast is recorded in the Judy Genshaft Honors College at the University of South Florida Tampa campus. Production assistance is provided by honors student Abby Malloy and Professor Adam Davidson. Thank you all so much for listening. Please do not forget to rate and review our podcast. We appreciate your feedback. Tune in next time for more honors stories. Until next time, go Bulls!